Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me for this gentle spinal awakening flow. Let's start in child's pose. Big toes touch, knees are wide, arms are stretched out long in front of us. Spread the fingertips wide. Allow the forehead to rest fully and completely on the mat. Body is fully supported by the ground beneath us. As we orient ourselves in time and space, sky above us, earth below, shifting your hands into prayer behind the head, walking the elbows out slowly, taking long, full inhalations and exhalations, noticing how the elbows want to walk out with every exhalation as the body softens, and extending the arms out long, walking the hands over to the right side of the mat. Left hand can be placed on top of the right, so we wake up the obliques and the side body, the sides of the back, and the spine. Each inhale filling up the left side of the body. If you'd like, bringing the right hand around and hooking it at the low back, starting to wake up that right shoulder, breathing into the right scapula, into the right side of the neck. Release and walk your hands back to the center of the mat, walking them over to the left side of the mat, placing the right hand on top of the left, taking that full round of breath as you breathe into the side body, breathing into the obliques, waking up the left side of the spine. Allow your chest to soften towards the mat as you bring that left hand up and around and hook it at the low back. Feel the breath flow into the left shoulder, into the left side of the neck, into that left scapula, and walking the hands back to the center of the mat, coming into tabletop position. Shoulders are stacked over wrist, hips are stacked over knees, toes can be tucked or untucked. We'll take some cat and cow here. On an inhale, dropping the belly, and on an exhale, rounding the spine, flowing at the pace of your own breath, just making sure to match the breath with the movement. Allow the breath to be the anchor as it guides each and every movement. Taking about 2 more rounds here. Push the ground away on your exhale, tuck the chin to the chest. And on your inhale, drop the belly, look forward, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Finishing off the round, coming back to center and starting to take circles with the torso. Dropping the chest down to the right, circling it up and around through cat pose and dropping it down the left side. Taking about 2 more rounds here. And on your last one, switching directions, torso drops to the left, comes up, drops to the right, through cow pose, up through cat, circling the body, round, waking up all of the spine. And coming back to neutral, we'll inhale that right hand up to the sky, bringing the right arm underneath the left armpit, threading the needle, dropping down onto that right shoulder, extending the left arm long. Or feel free to keep the left hand in front of the face and really push into that left hand to help roll onto the right shoulder blade, to really open up through the right side of the body, through the back and through the neck, through the shoulder. Once you've settled into the position, noticing if your mind's tendency is to wander, seeing if you can't bring it back to the present moment, bringing it back to the way the flow of breath feels in the body, the way the course of the breath changes with each shifting shape, with each asana. Coming back to tabletop and inhaling that left arm up to the sky, thread the needle on the left side, bringing the left arm underneath the right armpit, feeling free to extend that right arm long or keeping it close to the face if you prefer. And if your hand is near your face, Pushing into that right hand to roll off onto the left shoulder. Again, breathing into the back side of the body. And in the same way we notice the change of breath in our asana, our physical postures, we can take this awareness of breath with us throughout our daily lives. Noticing the difference in feeling on both sides. And slowly coming back to center, neutral tabletop. Begin to walk your hands towards the top of the mat, dropping the chest for puppy pose. Forehead rests gently on the mat. Hips are stacked over the knees. Again, toes can be tucked or untucked here. Untucked is slightly more restorative. Toes tucked can be slightly more invigorating. So just asking yourself what you need today. And with every exhalation, dropping the chest closer towards the mat. If you'd like, you can deepen the pose by coming onto your chin, really dropping those armpits and that chest towards the mat, coming high on the fingertips, and starting to roll out into Sphinx pose, allowing the roll to come from the spine, dropping down onto the forearms, adjusting the hands as needed. Fingertips are spread wide and you're tractioning back through the forearms, squeezing those shoulder blades together and slightly tucking the chin to the chest, creating this line of energy from the tippy toes all the way to the crown of the head, expanding through the chest space. And drop your head towards the mat, using your arms as a pillow. We'll extend that right arm long, perpendicular to the body. Hand is directly in line with the shoulder, and you can start to roll off over onto that right shoulder, using a block or your fist as a pillow to protect the neck. You can keep a bend in that top leg, or you can choose to straighten it. Playing around with the positioning, finding what works for you. Really breathing and expanding through that right shoulder. A few more breaths here. And if you'd like a little more, you can find a bind with the left arm at the low back, hooking it underneath the right hip. You can squeeze the shoulder blades here and intentionally breathe into the upper chest space, squeezing those shoulder blades together, opening through both shoulders. Roll back through center. We'll take a counter stretch, drawing that right arm directly underneath the body and directly in line with the shoulder coming out the opposite direction, using your left arm as a pillow, and allowing the full weight of your torso to rest upon that right arm. Gently switching sides, extending that left arm perpendicular to the body. Hand is directly in line with the shoulder, and you can roll off onto that left shoulder using your hand or a block as a prop for your neck. Noticing any difference in sides without judgment, solely using our observation here, allowing our mind's eye to rest wherever it is that we feel the sensation in the body. If you want that bind, you can extend the right arm up to the sky and hook it at the low back, squeezing both shoulder blades together, expanding through the heart space, intentionally breathing in and expanding through the upper chest. Release your right hand and finding that counter stretch. Left arm comes underneath our torso, directly in line with the shoulder. Using your right arm as a pillow, allow the full weight of your torso to rest upon that left arm. And we'll start to rise by planting the hands underneath the shoulders, tucking the toes, and on an exhale, pushing into high plank position. Good. And on your next exhale, shifting back into downward facing dog, adjusting your hands and feet as you need to, dropping the chest in between the arms and taking a big bend in the knees to wake up the hamstrings, to get into the back, to lift those hips high towards the sky. From here, we'll tap the knees to the mat gently. Exhale and extend the legs. Inhale, tap. Exhale, extend. Inhale, tap. Exhale, extend. Inhale, tap. Exhale, extend. Last time, inhale, tap. hover the knees, extend long, straightening out those legs this time, dropping the heels to the mat if you can, creating this upside down V shape, hugging the low belly in towards the spine to help lift your hips towards the sky. Spread the fingertips wide and externally rotate those arms to create space in between the shoulder blades. And in our next inhale, we're going to roll our body out for some spinal undulations. You're going to lift your hips towards the sky. And on an inhale, roll the spine out into plank, pushing the hips back towards the sky on an exhale. It's a fluid motion as you inhale forward, coming into high plank and then pushing the hips back towards the sky. It may take some practice to get used to. This time we'll inhale, come forward into cobra pose, squeezing those shoulder blades together, opening through the chest. Tuck the chin to the chest and exhale back for downward facing dog. Settle. Inhale, come high on the toes, shift forward through the spine into cobra pose. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Tuck the chin to the chest and exhale for downward facing dog. This time staying on top of the toes, stretching through the tops of the feet. Inhale, come forward again into cobra pose. Legs are lifted. Exhale, downward facing dog. Drop the heels and walk the hands slowly back to the back of the mat into a forward fold, grabbing opposite elbows. You can have a big bend in your knees here, dropping the head and the neck towards the ground, using your arms as a weight to pull you closer to the floor, really allowing the torso to rest on top of the thighs. If you notice weight heavily in the heels, seeing if you can't shift it forward so that it's equally distributed over the heels and the toes. It might feel like you're going to fall forward, but by gripping the floor with our toes, we use them for tilt control, steadying ourselves. Inhale, come to a flat back. Exhale, fold forward, resisting the urge to move fast. We'll inhale, arms are going to sweep up towards the sky, palms touch, interlace hands at the top, reaching them over to the right side of the mat for a side body stretch. Full body breath, breathing deeply into the left side body, allowing it to expand and start to come back through center. Hands are still interlaced. Inhale, drop the arms over to the left side of the mat for a side body stretch on the right hand side, keeping your biceps next to your ears, breathing into that right side body, feeling the whole right side expand. Come back to center. Release the hands and interlace them at the low back, extending the arms long. Start to fold forward. Hands can stay at the base of the spine, or they can start to lift up towards the ceiling and beyond if you can, but not forcing it. Still having a big bend in the knees here so that your torso drapes over the thighs. And you can play with the positioning of the arms. Let's drop the arms now. Walk your hands out into high plank so the shoulders are stacked over the wrists. Body's in a straight line, and then exhale into downward facing dog, keeping the hands and feet where they are, dropping the chest in between the arms. Take a moment to observe the difference in this downward dog versus the beginning. And we'll drop the knees to the mat for Balasana, child's pose. Big toes touch, knees are wide, mats width distance apart. And we'll outstretch the hands towards the top of the mat. Palms are face down, fingertips are spread wide. We're allowing the forehead to rest gently upon the ground. Full weight of our body supported by the earth beneath us. Finding ease in the body and stillness in the mind. This is where we'll be ending today, but feel free to continue practicing now that you're warmed up. Or if 15 minutes is all you had, then that's all you need. Hoping you have a beautiful and blessed day. Take the energy of mindfulness with you everywhere you go.